Welcome to another YNAB video. So since I recorded my paycheck budget with me at the end of January, I have since been racking up some transactions, and I thought it would be fun to do a reconcile with me. So what we're going to do is we're going to reconcile my YNAB accounts from January 30th until today, which is Tuesday, February the 4th. I thought this would be a good video for beginners or anybody new to YNAB, just to show them what it looks like on a daily basis. I normally reconcile my account every morning just because I enjoy doing it. It takes less than 2 minutes, but I thought it would be fun to do it on the desktop computer in the web browser. So right now what you see on my screen is the YNAB app in the web browser, ynab.com. What you don't see on the screen is that I am also going to have my phone beside me, and I'm going to be pulling up the transactions to make sure that I'm reconciling correctly and the balances in YNAB match my bank account. So if you haven't heard me say it before, I do 90% of my work in YNAB through my phone. So if you see me stumble over some of the items or clicks in the browser, it's because I don't use it that often. So first, I'm going to figure out how to navigate to my accounts. So here we have all of my accounts and lots of transactions. So we've got scheduled transactions, which are hidden here. So in YNAB, I do set up my monthly bills as recurring transactions if I can, so that I don't have to think about it and they'll appear in the app for me to approve when that bill is due. A large portion of my bills have been set up to auto pay, which I was very skeptical of doing when my finances were a bit shaky, but now that I'm in a little bit better of a position thanks to YNAB, I have as much as I can automated just so I don't have to think about it. So we have multiple accounts here, and we also have reconcile transactions showing. So when I scrolled down, I saw that there were some of these transactions with the locks. Those mean that those have already been reconciled. So I'm going to hide those so they don't get in the way. And I'm going to go account by account, which is how I like to reconcile, because I have multiple bank accounts and I haven't fully consolidated everything into one account. I'm going to expand the window pane so that you guys can see my actual cash accounts. So I'm going to start with my primary checking account. I'm going to hide scheduled transactions. I'm going to pull up my app real quick on my phone. It looks like we've got a transfer. So after I did the budget with me, I like to keep $300 or less on my checking account each pay period. I move all the other funds to a high yield savings account, and the only time I move money out of my checking account is if I have something that's drafted directly from there. The only things I have currently drafted from my checking account, it's just a few things like phone bills, card payment, and our alarm home security system. So I try not to keep too much money in there because I like to earn interest whenever possible. So that's what this first transaction was. So monthly interest on the 31st, that one is 6 cents, so that matches. And then on February the 3rd is actually when this came out. I've got it scheduled as an automatic transaction for the 1st. I'm going to change this date to the 3rd so it matches my bank account. Everything else looks good. I'm going to approve this transaction. Make sure this balance matches my bank balance, and I'm going to hit this reconcile button. And everything matches. So that was easy. So I'm going to go over here to my Wells Fargo checking account. It's got one new transaction to approve or categorize. So I'm going to have these. Let's see what that is. It's my paycheck. So typically for Capital One, I get paid 2 days early, 2 days or so early. And for Capital One, that transaction shows as clear. But for some reason, for my Wells Fargo account, it shows as pending until my actual pay date. So I'm going to change this date. It cleared on the 31st. I've got it titled paycheck. It's an inflow. I'm going to approve this. And then this balance um, matches my bank balance. So I'm going to reconcile that account. Um, Emergency fund. So it doesn't look like this is one of my savings accounts with my Capital One accounts. It doesn't look like there are any transactions to reconcile, but I should have received um, interest on this account. So I'm opening back up my Capital One app, and I do see where I received interest. It looks like YNAB hasn't imported that yet. My bank account has a date of the 31st. I have a category called monthly interest paid. I typically put that money to ready to assign, and that amount is $15.86. So I'm going to save that. And now this balance matches my account. So I'm going to clear it, and then I'm going to reconcile. I'm going to go over here to sinking funds. For some reason, the interest for this pulled in just fine. So $8.05. I'm going to click on this, approve that transaction. This amount matches my bank balance, so I am going to reconcile that. And then my last savings account is FitFund. And it's got monthly interest of 32 cents. That balance matches, so I'm going to reconcile this account. I'm going to approve it, and I'm going to reconcile it. I don't know if I have to. Doesn't look like it, so I'm going to reconcile this. I am going to go back to 360 checking because I see that there's still a dot there. So I'm wondering if I overlooked something and there was a transaction to approve. But this is a transaction that I've already reconciled for interest. So I'm just going to click on here and approve it. So that's it for all my cash accounts. I used to have way more savings accounts than this. I used to keep my savings in individual buckets by the name of the sinking funds. But since I moved to YNAB, I've been trying to consolidate things a bit. And so I'm still in the process of simplifying everything and having one big savings account versus individual buckets, just because YNAB keeps track of that breakdown for me. But I just haven't gone through and done all of that yet. And so I might do it before the end of the year. So next I'm going to go into my credit accounts. So I've got 2 credit cards that are actively used. The Allsouth credit card is for my everyday spending. The Citibank credit card is debt that I'm working to pay down. Got a lot of scheduled transactions because the majority of my bills and things are paid for through my credit card, just because it earns me rewards. And it also makes it easier to track since the majority of transactions happen here and I don't really have to worry about much. So I'm going to log in to my credit card account. I'm going to hide reconcile transactions. And then a lot of these clear automatically, but I'm going to go through them starting, looks like the 30th. So I've got to get there. I've got to get to that transaction in my budget. So $10.75 on the 30th. Freezer bags, $20.46. Tide Pods, that matches. $10.04 for the 3rd. That has cleared. I'm good there. 982. That's also for the 3rd. I'm going to change the dates here. I made the purchase on the 2nd, but they actually cleared on the 3rd. So I'm not picky about those dates unless it was when I went in store. So this is a new transaction. This is my annual Amazon Prime subscription. I've been considering canceling this, but I don't know. I share the subscription. So I don't know. I don't know how, if it's a need or not, but it's already funded. I have a YNAB category under savings annual expenses for that. So I'm just going to categorize it. And then I'm going to put annual prime fee for that one. And I'm going to approve that transaction. 3418. So this transaction is a pay in 4 plan for my hobbies. Sometimes I have the full amount to pay for the transaction at the time that I make the purchase, but for some reason it just feels better to me to spend less money at one time. And so I schedule a lot of these as recurring transactions in YNAB so that they show up in my budget every 2 weeks, as a reminder that they're being deducted from my account, and then I keep track in the memo field of what transaction it is out of the 4. So I'm going to approve that. That cleared on the 3rd. 1494 Walmart. So this also cleared on the 3rd. My daughter needed a calculator for her science class for school, so that's why it says scientific calculator, and I just put it in the kids category. And then 1889, I bought some tote bags. So a lot of the stores are getting away from plastic bags, which is better for the environment. And so I wanted to have some tote bags on hand for when we do grocery shopping and things like that, just to keep in the car. And so I purchased 2 from H&M. And so again, I did it on a pay in 4 plan. And so this is the transaction for that. So now I'm going to go up to my budget, and my cleared balance is $4,787.06, and that matches my account. So I'm going to click yes. And so I have a few bills that haven't come out yet, but I see that they're pending. So sometimes what I like to do is just change this date to the current date because they haven't cleared yet. And so those are all my transactions. This loan right here is my car loan. I only make 1 payment a month, and so there's not a lot of reconciling I have to do here. Every now and again I'll go in here and I'll click on this and I'll update the balance, and that'll create a reconciliation transaction if this balance doesn't match what I see in the app for my car. And then this last tracking account is my 401k account through work. And so I try to get a company match. And for this account, I only look at it, I try to do it at the very end or the beginning of each month. Only look at it once a month because stock prices in the stock market is always changing and fluctuating, and I don't want to have to enter all those transactions. So every now and again I'll look at the account balance and I will reconcile it similar to how I do my auto account. I'll go in here, I will update the balance to reflect whatever it currently is, whether that's an increase or a decrease, and then I will reconcile from there. So those are all my accounts reconciled. If you have any questions, just let me know. And based on comments or questions, I may do another one of these videos, and I can go into depth if anybody's interested about my different accounts. Like this wallet account is how I keep track of cash. So if I take cash out the bank, I put it in here, and then whenever I spend money, I just put the name of it and what the amount is, even if it's a tip, donation, whatever it is. And I round it to the nearest dollar because I don't keep change on me a lot of the times. So that is that. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.